just want to. I know he is. I just want to be clear that I'm clear on what he's saying. After everyone's like, yeah, whatever. And then you're like,
We can do it. It's no worries.
all right. All right. Let me go. We're getting everything started. And I got it totally improve this freaking our live stream better because I am getting slammed on that, guys. Like I am getting totally slammed on what I'm doing here. And like it's killing me. I'm getting really tired of it. All right. 5, 4.
What's the order?
What's the order? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine is easy.
Yeah.
So
Who's after Anderson?
Chris.
remember, you were delegated the order, Sean. Like that was your delegation. Remember?
Yeah, but you got to give me a chance before you start the show. So
Okay.
we'll do Anderson, Chris, John, Nicole, me, and Mike.
Jeez, Sean,
Yeah,
you
I'm
just have
after
one job.
John.
You're after John. John's after Chris.
John has one job. He can't even do it right.
Come on, man. I'm gonna screw up.
All right.
Don't hate me.
Already.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome all to We Could Be Wrong, but who cares? I'm Anderson.
This is Christopher Harris.
I'm John.
Nicole.
Sean.
And Mike.
And Mike.
Let's roll.
Chris.
That was bad.
My echo.
Uh,
Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world. Welcome to a new episode of We Could Be Wrong, but who cares? Our panel's almost back to full health. We have one panelist coming in late, and we have another 2 missing. They will be on when they will be on. For those that are big fans of Renee, just send an email to mysakeproductions@gmail.com. I will forward you those emails. And be as rude and nasty as you want to of where he is, if you feel like he speaks for you. Also, please check us out on we_could_be_wrong in Instagram. Also, check us out on YouTube. Guys, our numbers from Instagram to YouTube are not matching up. Let's fix that. So that's at We Could Be Wrong. And because our subs are slow on YouTube, that's why it doesn't pop up right away. But you'll see this ugly face and you'll know you're at the right page. So please subscribe at YouTube. Mike, you wanted to clear us up on a couple of things? The floor is yours.
about school choice, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we talked about it last week, and it didn't sound like everybody was on the same page in terms of what it meant. So maybe we should start there. I think the idea is it's a concept. The concept is everybody should be able to send their student to the school of their choice, regardless of where they live. Because right now, you go to public school according to the area in which you live. Within those boundaries, you can apply for different schools and transfers. And public schools have, in the last 5 or so years, have come up with the concept of charter schools or different thematic schools that are also within the same district. And you can also apply for those schools as well. So you should conceivably be able to go to whatever school you want to within your district. Where choice comes in, though, is it extends beyond the individual district and allows students to go to any school, anywhere, including private schools. And what choice will allow is it will provide you with a voucher, which is a portion of the amount of money that the state would pay for your student to go to school. So let's keep it easy. Let's say they pay $10,000 a year per each of your children. And you decide, okay, I don't want my student to necessarily go to the local public school. I would prefer them go to a private school or or a dramatic arts school across town or 2 towns away. And it would allow, the voucher would basically say, okay, we'll give $6,000, not the entire 10, but $6,000 toward whatever school you want to choose. So the big difference this made initially was private schools, you've always been allowed, or you've had the ability to send your student to a private school, but the government didn't pay for it. Well, that's part of choice, that conceivably, if you sent your student to a private school, the government would pay part of that. And that's really the major essence of it. Some states have accepted it, some states have not. The Supreme Court ruled that it was allowed, including private schools, to fund and to provide vouchers. But there are some pros and cons about what it is, what it will do, and the future, what it may bring.
Yeah. So my question is, Mike, what happens if like 85% of a school district wants to go to one school? How do they figure out who goes if everyone has vouchers?
Well, in some areas they have a lottery, and it would depend. In California, for example, Sun Tzu mentioned this last week. To move from one charter school or to enroll in a charter school, if the charter school is full, then they simply have a lottery system that allows the students to go in. Now, that doesn't mean every state will have a lottery system, but that's one of the ways to make sure that one particular school doesn't, obviously it can't contain 85% of the district. So once it reaches a maximum level, then obviously no more students would be allowed to go in. And then I assume then your student stays in the school of which he was assigned initially.
Yeah, I think that some areas that already have this in play, they do a couple of different ways. There's a merit system where if you're looking to go into a high school, then you look at the grades of the junior high school clubs, sports. There are similar things on the East Coast where they take a look at you the same way that you would be taking a look at if you were applying to a university. There's a merit-based system, and then, what is it that you're applying for? What's that school's focus, and different things like that as well.
Right. And the other thing that's important to accept about more knowledge about this topic is that obviously public schools have to accept everyone, including learning disabled, including learning handicapped, including everyone who has any sort of malady, handicap. Let me keep it straight. Any sort of handicap. And one of the arguments against the voucher would be, well, are they going to also allow handicapped students into their system, or are they simply going to allow the public school to take care of those students?
Right. And with the goal of this being that the education of the student is maximized, the benefits or the benefits provided to the student by the choice allows for a better education, as opposed to I think we all see a lot of the inner city schools really have a hard time. And then there are specialty schools as well. To Mike's point, excuse me, there are public schools that have to take students that they're just not equipped to be able to handle because of a handicap or because of a learning disability, where specialty schools could do that, but parents don't necessarily have the money to be able to send them to that school that could provide a better organized place for them.
That's the only part that kind of concerns me too, is like you were saying, Mike, okay, that they provide $6,000, just your estimate. I know it's not numbers exactly, to a normal $10,000 school if you're doing vouchers. That seems to me it would handicap people who had low income, because there was no way they could ever change. We got to go to the school that takes us the cheapest, because there's still a lot of people that are in poverty level that they can't go, well, sure, I'll throw an extra $4,000 a year in to go to a better school.
Well, and conceptually, one of the strong arguments is, well, in actuality, it would allow people from low income or people from disadvantaged students potentially to be able to go to a better school. Okay. Yes, they would have to make up the difference, and that would be difficult, but that's one of the potential advantages if they could overcome that extra money, then they're, instead of going to an inner city school in the middle of Chicago, let's make them worst case scenario. That's probably not unfair, but we seem to all have the notion that there's a lot of gangs and so on and drugs in Chicago. So you could get your kid to escape from Chicago and go to a suburb, and yeah, it's going to cost you some money, and it's going to cost you the transportation costs because the district isn't going to pay for that. So
Yeah,
yes,
so
it would cost you.
it will never work then for inner city
Yeah,
schools
it's
for
it's
people in the
it's
poverty
tricky.
line.
Yeah, it's tricky
Well, there
because
I don't
it would need more money. Yeah.
there are some private schools that seem to be able to provide education at a lower cost than what the public schools do. But to your point, if you start having to add dollars to it or to make up certain amounts, then whoever's on the lower economic class on that automatically, is going to be at a point that there's two things there. If it goes into a marketplace scenario, then what is the market value of the education? Is it, let's stay with Mike's numbers, is it $6,000? Or because the market now has a ton of customers, does the price go up? And now it's 10, 12, 13, 14, $30,000 and they're giving you $6,000. Are you still forced back into the same exact school because
Yeah.
the price has gone up?
Yeah, and I think that, John, you nailed it. You really did, because one of the arguments is free market schools. It's going to allow them to compete. It's going to make them compete, and in essence, it's going to make them better. But I'm afraid, like you, that unfortunately, money corrupts. I mean, it just kind of twists things around, and when you start putting a major money involved in it, then it just creates a greater advantage for those who have the money and a bigger disadvantage for those who don't.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I can say a little something about school choice because my youngest kid is a junior right now. And for my kids, at least where I live, there are two kind of transfers that you can get, which are an inter-district and an intra-district. So I was able, when my kids were growing up, they went to charter schools that were outside of my district. And my oldest daughter actually graduated from a performing arts school. And the way that she got into that school is that they had to audition for it. Depending on whatever art they did, and she was a dancer, so well, she still is a dancer, but she went for dance, so she had to audition before she could go there. But yeah, the charter schools that my kids went to that were out of our district, we just there were, like you said earlier, lotteries, and I mean, somehow my kids always got in where I wanted them to be. So I feel like, I mean, if you try really hard and, put the effort, if you're able to put the effort forth and run around and do like all the paperwork that you need to do, you actually can get your kids into schools that, you're not aware that you can get into and like out of your district and everything.
Well, to keep in mind though, Nicole, there's no money involved in what you're talking about. You're talking about shifting from the traditional public to a charter. No money involved at all, because it's simply a matter of, okay, a parent that's on it, you're on it, you're making sure the kid, the rules, what you got to get your kid to do, and they do it, and it makes it happen.
And that's the thing too, is that like, I knew that I have 4 kids, so I knew I was not going to be able to afford private school. So that's the reason that I went outside of, the box and looked for schools that were appropriate for my kids, because I don't even know if I could afford private school, if I would even send them there, because I feel like they went to really good schools.
Well, let's go to ground zero. Why did you choose not to allow your kids to go, or your kids simply didn't go to the local public school? Why didn't they go there? Why did you think that wasn't the best education for your children?
So my first 2 kids were doing fine in public school, but my son went, and my son was a preemie, and he has ADD, but like on his second day of preschool, the teacher suggested if that we should like take him to the doctor and get him put on medicine. And I was like, no, we need to find a different education for him that's, more fit towards what he wants, because the traditional classroom is not right for all kids. So the school that I sent them to was a project-based learning school, and it was a charter school. So they met like all the criteria that they needed for the district, but they just did it in a different way. Like they didn't require that the kids sit at desks. Like they had couches, bean bags. They had like, instead of the fluorescent lights, they had like lamps and stuff like that. And then everything that they did, like they did a project, and it had like, it would have math, writing, like every part that they needed for school in it. So it was an awesome school. But yeah, so I did it for my son, but really all of my kids ended up benefiting. And then my daughter, she ended up going to Performing Arts High School because I have always looked for things for my kids that are inexpensive, and I found like dance classes that were super inexpensive and near my house, and she just always did dance from when she was like 2 years old. So it was kind of just like a natural thing that she wanted to do.
That's that's an interesting, that's a success story in my opinion. It's public high school that is trying to accommodate and to try to do whatever they can to educate everybody. I mentioned this last week, and I think I need to mention it again. That may be part of the problem here, is that we are still trying to equally educate everyone, and maybe we need to get to the point where we realize that there has to be, to put everybody into one round hole or square peg isn't going to work. And that's part of what choice appeals to.
So the idea. So I want to be clear on what you're saying, because I want to tie this up from last week. The idea is this. The idea is that, sorry, I just read a message that threw me completely through a loop.
Yeah.
The idea is that,
Somebody
are
threw
you
a
okay
dick pic.
with
Yeah, Mike sucks. Who wrote that? I saw it too.
the idea is that, would you prefer it to be left alone and it to be given to the public system?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Yeah.
Well, you know what? The bottom line, do you
Yes.
want to improve public education?
Yes,
Or do you want to give people the opportunity to escape public
I
education,
want to improve.
go off on their own?
I want to improve public education.
Then choice is probably not the best. I mean, choice within your district, of course, but school vouchers allowing what would probably happen, because to me, it's concept versus practicality. What would probably happen is white flight is probably what's going to happen. And you're going to have a lot of whites that are going to take advantage, and they're going to go to schools where they don't have to mix with racial ethnic minorities because they just don't want to. And that's the reality of what's going to happen.
Wow.
You know?
So it became
ahead, Nicole.
it became a racial thing now. I think people are just trying to have the best education and find the right place to do that. I would think.
I have a smile from ear to ear.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing, though.
Hi, Sun Tzu.
But
Hi guys,
Hi.
I'm here.
But here's the thing, though. When you were saying that, not only did Sensu, have that verbal, expression, but when you look on camera, you see John, sort of frown his brow by saying, "I'm not sure I follow you, Mike." John, would you like to sort of explain what your thoughts are as well?
I don't think that it comes down to something that bad. I think that most parents, regardless of what race they are, whether they're green, purple, whatever, are going to try to give their kids the best education that they can, regardless of that. So I'm sorry, I keep laughing at that. If somebody's watching the live stream, that cat is hilarious.
Oh, I know.
So I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But
That's Winston.
It is.
Winston, what an appropriate name.
I think that the parents are just going to try to get their kids to the best place that they possibly can. I hate that that's kind of the thing that gets brought up. Oh, it's going to be, this natural segregation or something going to that effect, because there are so many more opportunities with this, and not just within, excuse me, I'm sorry, the education circle, but you guys had brought up last week trade schools as well, because that's something that's not as available as it was even in the area that I'm in now, where my brother, who's 8 years older than me, was able to go to a trade school and learn welding, and then have a certificate that he was out. And as soon as he graduated high school, he was able to go and get a welding job.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think you guys had made the example of auto shop and a couple other things previous to that, but that's also a big thing where you can go, that type of thing, not just takes into account the schools that are open now, but the schools that could open because they would be funded by these vouchers, whether it be trade school or whether it be a specialty school to deal with ADD, or whether it be a specialty school to deal with a learning disability or physical incapabilities where the kid cannot necessarily even move from one class to another, like in a normal high school. So I think that there's a lot of different things that would open up to that.
The only problem I see with that, and I agree with you completely, I like the concept, but you don't know what funding is going to be from year to year if you're doing it by that type of system. So someone can change every year, and one school could lose 3 teachers in 1 year because they just don't have the funding anymore.
That's true, but that's something that happens in the marketplace all the time. I mean, if you go and get a job, I at one time in my life I worked for a company called Sears, and that place is not really around anymore. There are places that open and places that close, but schools that are successful are going to have a customer base that goes with that, whereas schools that are consistently failing would not have that same base as well. But do
you think that that's based on money?
You're going to create a gap between those two that you just mentioned, John. That's even greater than it is right now. Unfortunately, that's the practicality of it. I wish it wasn't, but that gap is what I worry about.
I'm sorry. Can you tell me which gap you're worried about? I'm still coughing, so I apologize.
Well, I forgot what you did. What did you just say about the 2 different schools and free market economy, and it's going to show the difference between the two? Yes, it will. It'll definitely show the difference between the two. And as more and more students decide to get away from whatever public school, what's public school going to look like? You're going to take away from, and you're going to, again, free market education, but I believe the concept of public education is extraordinarily important in a democracy, not education by, again, it's going to go to private schools, what it's going to go to. And one other thing, this is the analogy that I keep going to in my head. Maybe it'll help, maybe it'll make it worse. In my head, I keep going to the analogy of paying NFL players for their name likeness. No, sorry, college players. Paying college players for their name likeness. Okay, that's a big popular idea right now, that we're going to start paying college athletes for their name likeness. And so that's about money. Follow the money. Money will corrupt. What's going to happen is there are going to be 10 super colleges that have all the money, or have a big part of the money, and draw the major high-end athletes. And instead of 120 college football teams, you're going to have 30 college football teams. That may not be bad, but that's the reality. That's what's going to happen. That's what money does, because money's going to gravitate toward the success. And so already we have the Alabamas and the whatever schools.
I need to cut it there, because this topic's cutting into a lot, especially if you want to talk about or touch on the impeachment. We're not going to have enough time. To the audience that are watching live stream, Just to let you know, this will not be on the podcast. This would be a special episode to last week's podcast. Let's talk about what's going on with the impeachment. Are all of us following what's going on with this impeachment?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Meh.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's very interesting. Why, Senseo? Why aren't you following it?
Because I feel like it's a waste of time, and I think it's garbage, and I think that we all have much better things to do than to entertain this whole impeachment.
Okay, Nicole, you're what's your feeling about the impeachment trial? Do you sort of feel the same thing?
No, I'm not following it just because I've been super busy lately and I haven't had the chance to.
John,
Yes, I'm following it.
do you feel like it's a waste of time?
It is.
Have some once. Enthusiasm, John.
Wait, hold on. I want to hear John. Do you feel like it's a waste of time?
It is a dumpster fire. It is.
Yep,
It
it
is
is.
completely useless.
Useless. Okay.
Yeah.
And Anderson, you said you weren't following it either. Is there a reason? Do you feel like it's a waste of time?
Trump is out. He's done what he did to incite allegedly the crowd to attack the Capitol. Yeah, I think he did. And if our government wants to go ahead and try to impeach our former president, then go be it.
Okay. The reason I want to bring this up is because, I've been following it and it's been bringing up a lot of emotions in me. I have been very angry. I too feel like our former president did incite the crowd by just constant explanation of, if I lose, it's because it was rigged. I didn't think that was. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to respect your comment, but I also want to know, do you feel the same way about the other comments that were made on the other side and the result of that? Like, is your feeling equal? Is it equal
About what? About what? Be specific, please.
She's referring to like Congress. She's referring to like Senator Harris, Maxine Waters at the parking lot.
Maxine Waters.
So to answer you directly, those political yes, no one should do that.
I want to hear that. I want to know if you hold them accountable too, because there are so many people that have a lot of power and a lot of persuasion with the way they speak, just like you have said about President Trump.
Yes.
He's not the only one that has resulted in a lot of harm. When Kamala Harris said that, that she feels like they should be out in the streets, they should be and it's not going to end even after the election. Like, she literally was giving her stamp of approval when all of the BLM and Antifa
and I am super excited that you brought this up, and this is the reason why I didn't want to talk about the impeachment, because tomorrow I believe former President Trump's legal team will bring up your point that they feel is good and that a lot of the Republican senators also believe in too. And then, we're going to see what the other side feels about what they bring up. But here's the thing. The thing is, do I hold them all responsible? Our political system has become mudslinging. Absolutely it has. And this is one of the things that reflect off of our panel. There are missing slots. Why are there missing slots? Because people get upset and they just want to leave. One of the major focus of this show is to have both sides talk, is to say we are all in this country. I don't want the socialist Americans to leave. I want them to be a part of this country because this is what makes this country great. Everyone that has different points of views and different stance. There's a lot of issues that I have. I feel that, we lost our dignity in being political. We just lost our dignity, our integrity. We just say, we call people Slow Joe, Dementia Joe, it's Small Marco, we accuse people's fathers of killing Kennedy. We do a bunch of silly stuff. you know, and the thing is,
Hey,
what happened?
that's how you saw. That's how you feel we lost our integrity. You don't think it's all the corruption? Like
Oh no,
you're naming
there's
things that I think are
there's
minuscule
absolute
part
corruption.
of the
You know
problem.
what the biggest corruption is? That, you know, that we have a bunch of Republican senators that are gonna probably vote not to convict because they're scared to lose their job. So
That's not true.
It's so true.
hold on,
That
wait.
is not true.
Hold on. I really thought I was talking. So the thing is that this again, this is, I could be wrong, and it's okay if I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I literally could be wrong. I'm just expressing my perspective of it because the truth is there, you know, how are you going to fight corruption when you're a part of corruption? And I think that makes you corrupt. But again, I appreciate what you have to say, and I'm glad that you'll express this. I'm gonna hand it off to you, and hopefully John could follow her right after, and then Sean and Mike, if you guys want to come in. But please go ahead, Sensu, give it a shot. And if you have questions directed at me, I will answer you. Just let me know if you want me to answer, or if you're just telling me it rhetorically. Okay, go for it. Floor is yours.
Well, I guess first my problem with the Democratic Party presenting their issues or establishing blame and fault on Trump, you know, with the insurrection at the Capitol, it bothers you have to cut and edit clips to prove a point. Then there's a problem because all of us on here have dealt with situations where when we talk about something, if we're only giving a piece of it and not giving the full context of it, then it's misleading, you know. And there's been many times on the show that where we've made comments here and there where we could easily cut and paste, you know, and create a video of our comments and make the other person look terrible. But when you can actually just take a full speech or a full statement, then that's, to me, clear cut, right? But with the whole Trump situation, I did watch, you know, the impeachment part where they showed the video, you know, where they tried to establish blame and all these things and all the things he said that quote unquote incited the violence. It's just kind of laughable because you're just sitting there going, wow, you just cut every terrible word that you can, you know, you can twist it and take it the worst way possible. And that's how they're trying to portray it. And I think that that's an injustice. And I think that that's sad. And I think it's misleading. I think there's a lack of integrity there. I know you have mentioned that you felt a lot of emotions with all this. And I still have a hard time understanding why, because anyone who reads his speech that day, and I'm going to just speak on that day because I know some people, and even, you know, some people on this panel might say, well, leading up to it, he made a lot of, like, you know, comments that incited. Okay, but that day, there was nothing that he said that incited violence. In fact, he was specific to say peaceably and patriotically. And all the other words about going to the Capitol, that's all straightforward. Yeah, go to the Capitol, go protest. There's been protests at Capitol before.
Yeah.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, I mean, also the Democrats that are leading the case for the impeachment, they have interviews with the people at the Capitol, and they show clips saying, we're here on invitation of our president.
I'm glad you said that. Yes, I saw that.
Go for it.
And
So let's look at that, you
So much
know.
better, by the way.
Okay, yeah, let's look at that impartially. So if I'm neither here nor there, don't side with anything, to me, to someone I think that's impartial would say, okay, like, are they meaning that in a metaphorical way? Are they like that they just feel like he, you know, because he invited them to be at the rally, that then that's their invitation? Like, what does that really mean? You know,
Literally,
an invitation to be there.
why we're here is to save our country. They literally said that. There was a metaphor in that.
Yeah. Well, remember, where was I that day? And what was my intention to do anything,
No,
you know, to break any laws?
Do anything illegal, though. They did.
Right.
Okay,
So the people that
and
they
Sun Tzu,
interviewed were the people that broke laws?
Sun Tzu, I like what you said. I've been saying that before. You can't trust reality anymore. You see something, you see a film, you see something. With the technology that we have, it can be cutted and edited in such a way that it can present any kind of image you want. Absolutely. Okay. So let's go beyond that, though. Let's just try to look at the particular facts that did happen that we can verify, rather than the Hollywood version of what the Democrats presented. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. So that's, so let's look at some of that. Renee or Sean, you had stuff to say, right?
Yeah, when we get a chance, but I think you wanted John to go first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. John, go for it.
Thank you, Sean. And I like your beard.
Thank you.
So has anybody on the panel, has anybody read the article of impeachment?
No.
Oh,
By chance?
no.
It's one article. It's 50 pages long. It's got a 29-page appendix. The article of impeachment, basically, if you boil it down to just a couple of sentences, this is what it says, and this is what he is, quote unquote, being impeached for. They are saying that the speech that he gave that particular day is what incited the crowd and what made them violent in order to, for those who were, because it wasn't the whole crowd. Because if you had 100,000 people there, if all 100,000 people wanted to, they could have really done a
Right.
lot more damage than what was there.
Yeah.
But that speech and the words that he used in that speech were what incited the violence. And that is just, it's so provably wrong that it's insane. The fact that, number one, and I'll just give you a couple quick facts because I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out here, but number one, the violence started before the speech was even ended.
Yep.
So people had to have been at the Capitol with the idea of that happening. The FBI has said that they had intercepted calls and they had data that people were plotting violence long before the day that speech was given. The other thing that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of is that when you look at the people who are acting violently, there's some very specific characteristics that will tell you that they were not at the speech. Number one, if you've ever been to a presidential rally, regardless of whether it was for Trump, Biden, Bush, Obama, whoever, you are not allowed to have any sort of backpack or package that you can carry in there. But all these people wearing backpacks, these people that had gas masks, these people that had baseball bats, they would not have been allowed because at the security checkpoints, that stuff is banned. You can't take that stuff in there. So if you're saying that somebody went into the speech, they would have, number one, had to have left early. They would have had to have left early to go pick up their stuff, their backpack or whatever, and get over there to the Capitol. Because that's what the impeachment article says, that it was that speech that incited that crowd that he was in front of going. Somebody else can have it, by the way.
So first
not
of
only
all,
that,
I can take it away from anymore.
well, being that I was there, can I just share something that, so the backpack thing is true, but there was, sorry for the noise, there was an area that was blocked off. So only from a certain distance to a certain distance did they have those checkpoints. Beyond that, which there was a ton of overflow,
Right.
you could have backpacks. From what I saw, no one was with gas masks or anything like that at the actual speech. But to John's point, yes, I mean, the facts are the facts. They know that the insurrection started before his speech ended. I know it took me, maybe 45 minutes from the Washington Memorial to even get to the Capitol, in walking, and not really running or anything like that. So there is time that it takes
45 minutes.
there, but you could have backpacks if you were in the open. Yeah, because we stopped and we weren't straight shoot trying to get there, right? So we did stop.
Okay.
It was,
Okay. Yeah.
but I mean, it is easily a 25 to 35 minute
Yeah,
walk. It's
yeah.
not that close. It is a bit of a trek.
I'm sorry, Sun Tzu.
and then the other fact is there were pipe bombs that were planted the day before. So again, there has been proof that it's been indisputable that there were plans that were discovered that were reported to the Capitol Police and to the FBI. No, I'm sorry, not to the Capitol Police. It was to the FBI that they failed to convey to the police, and so they were not prepared. And so again, if the basis is to impeach him based off of him inciting violence through that specific speech, there is no basis there. And I think that's something that we should really look at rather than talk about all these other things that he said in the past. Like, that's what the basis is on this impeachment. And I think that it's baseless.
Hold on, Mike,
that speech and others.
Okay.
That's not the only thing. That speech and other things that he said or tweeted.
Okay, hold on, Mike. You'll totally have your chance. I want to thank John and thank you, Sun Tzu, and thank you for being honest and saying, hey, yeah, it's possible to have backpacks, but at a certain radius. Go for it, Sean, and then Mike.
So the point I have is the original rally was scheduled for a different day because it was originally done by another group. Trump had it changed to the 6th on the day they were counting the vote. December 6th, he put out a tweet telling people to show up because it was going to be wild. And like some other people have said here, he's planned this for a year where the only way I can lose is if it's stolen. My point is the party of law and order, the Republicans, injured 126 cops that day and killed one. You know, so I'm sorry. If people look at the articles of impeachment in the Constitution, what happened with Clinton, that was not an impeachment. There was no article there. Of course, Lindsey Graham led that one. There are articles against Nixon. There was no articles. What, he screwed around in the White House, John? He had sex in the White House, and that's impeachable?
Clinton?
A federal judge under oath. That's what he was impeached for.
Yeah.
It's still because he had sex in the White House. But if you really look at it, there was no really impeachable things there, you know? But the issue is we're saying someone who causes, or even if he didn't directly cause it, the people that were there felt he was the driving factor for it, went down there and assaulted our Capitol building. And anyone who even went on the grounds was violating a law because those grounds were blocked off. They broke through the barrier.
No, they were not.
Okay. When you got there, they weren't, but they were beforehand. If you look.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Let's breathe.
So what happened to the barriers? They would have been.
They tore them down.
Okay, let's breathe a little bit because I muted
Sean
everyone.
doesn't know what he's talking about.
You're right. I don't know what I'm talking about, Sun Tzu.
Let's breathe a little bit, guys.
So you could walk up to the Capitol building without a concern. The grounds weren't blocked off.
No, they weren't.
Okay.
They weren't.
Thank you.
People were scaling the walls, climbing up, and there was nothing stopping them. But you would know because why? Because you saw it on TV or something? I mean, like, what kind of barricades are you talking about?
We all acknowledge you were literally there. And matter of fact, you know, I'm happy you were there. You got us great footage being there. You feel like, and you were there that from your firsthand experience, there were not barricades. Okay.
Well, let Sean explain what these barricades look like, because he seems to have be so like.
We're just going to lose our cool. And so, what's the point of having?
I'm not going to lose it because I'm not going to have an argument. I know what the facts are.
I understand that, but that's not the point. Everyone's going to get annoyed. That's not the point. Mike, what's next?
Okay. Well, yeah, it's there's a lot of different things going on. I'm not looking at that speech personally at what Trump said. I know that's a big part of it, but I never thought it was valid because at some point he does say in there, you know, you need to be peaceful. Fair, Sun Tzu, right? He says that.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does. He says that. He makes that point. Okay. So it would be very difficult to prove at that particular point what he said was insightful. Okay. But where I do go is what he later tweeted about Pence, which I think is extraordinarily important. I don't know the timeline exactly. I don't know anybody. John seems to know a timeline better than most, but at some point after, I think what I've been hearing is after the violence started, the president tweeted something along this is exactly what he tweeted. Mike Pence did not have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country from our Constitution. Okay, that I believe is fact. He said that. The crowd then, I don't care what you say, the crowd picked up the chant, and Mike Pence was needed to be protected.
Yeah, he became a target.
Right off the bat, he became a target. So that part, to me, is very direct in terms of what the president tweeted and what happened with that particular crowd. Okay. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me finish. The Trump does not, they've been talking about free speech. And I'm sorry, the president of the United States has a moral and ethical responsibility to uphold the law. Everybody would accept that, I believe. That means he cannot say things that other public officials would be prosecuted for. He can't. He cannot, even as the president. Okay? And if a police officer says something that is beyond the law, or a mayor, or an attorney general, or a judge, they will be held accountable. And this is what the issue is here. Did Trump make statements that potentially he was not allowed to say? And the other side of it, I forgot what I was going to go with that. Well, anyway.
You made me laugh.
Can I give you a
Sorry.
timeline reference with that, Mike, with what the point you're making is we found out about that, at least on the ground, after the speech was over and walking over to the Capitol. And again, that goes back to the point that the insurrection started far before that. And you're right, he did tweet that, right? But it goes
And the
back
mob
to the point,
responded.
did
And the
he-
mob
no, but-
responded.
but that's the thing. It was already going on. It already happened. It already started. They said, 20 minutes, I think, was the timeline that they said. 20 minutes before.
They were
20 hold on,
chanting
20
to get
20
Mike
minutes.
Pence. It doesn't
20
make any
minutes
what you're
before his speech was even over, they were already breaching the Capitol. So to say that it's tied in with that is not true.
Sun Tzu, you're not me. You're missing the point. The point is, after the violence started, he made a tweet, and once that tweet was released, they started chanting to get Mike Pence.
I get
Now-
that. And I can totally take that. But what I'm saying is if the whole basis of, again, the impeachment is to say that his speech incited this whole thing.
No.
It doesn't make sense.
Any part. If his speech incited any part of it, he is a Sun Tzu. He is the president of the fucking United States.
Mike, if you said I can't, if you make a statement and people support you and they are already causing havoc, and you make a statement that just makes it, just makes it worse and incites even more. People can't say that you incited the initial behavior. That's the point. It could have made it worse, yes, but it did not incite the initial behavior. And that's the point.
Let me cut in real quick. John, I want to talk to you directly. John, for me, if what's being told to me, if that speech wasn't, if there was no violence in that speech and he told them to do it civically and within their patriotic duty, and if that's the reason behind the impeachment, then it's a waste of time. Is that what's being told to me, John?
I think I'm understanding you correctly. I believe that's what I said.
Okay.
The one article of impeachment cites that speech and that speech alone as inciting the violence and causing the issue.
So
the statements that were done afterwards, either through Cheney or Pelosi or anyone, basically saying that, agreeing with that particular
I'll have to look because I read part of the article's impeachment, and it didn't say just that one speech alone that I read. But I didn't read the whole thing in the past 30 seconds. I read a summary. I'll have to look, John, and see, because I don't see where it says just that one speech alone caused this.
Again, we were wanting to speak about this after everything was said and done. So it's okay. We could come back to that. Absolutely. I think that's terrific to find out, Sean. The thing is, me, full disclosure, not a fan of Trump. Really wasn't. I did give him the benefit of doubt the first year, and then I wasn't a fan after that. So full disclosure, okay? I'm not the ideal person to be having, well, I shouldn't be passing judgment on nobody, to be honest. But, my thing is, if, I feel that if that's where you guys are coming from, then why do I still have the idea that he did cause this by saying what they call the big lie? Because the truth is, I don't feel like the election was stolen. And indications are that our former president really believes that. And that, it just makes me angry. Of course, I don't know that because I had never spoken to the man at all, But the thing is, are you telling me that they should have found something else to impeach him about? Did they just find the wrong thing?
No, I think that this is beyond a case of right and wrong. I believe that this is a case of we have to get this guy and we have to make sure that he can't run again.
Yep.
If he, we don't even know if he even wants to run again. I mean, because he says a lot of things.
No, we have.
Okay,
to be honest with you, we have no idea because
Shouldn't matter
never said
though.
anything about that.
Okay.
But
Okay, so the
that's what
president
I believe.
so the president then has a period of time in which he can say and do anything he wants, anything, and he will not be held responsible for that.
But what's
Right.
the proper consequence, Mike? Like impeachment, it just seems like it's not the appropriate, consequence to him saying something, because we have, like I said, so many
for
different
6 dead.
senators that have. Yeah, Sean, and has anyone else been impeached? Because there have been others that have done the same thing, and there's been severe consequences, and nothing has been done. So, if you're going to be fair, be fair.
So you're right. Let's talk about something else, not about what we're talking about now, which is Trump. I don't let my kids deflect. We're talking about this right now.
I don't think anyone's really deflecting at all.
Yeah, it's being fair. It's like your opinion should be like consistent.
Hold on.
My opinion is consistent.
But John, what were you saying, John? I'm sorry.
I was just going to make the point. If he really wanted to have an insurrection, why would this be the process that he would take? Why wouldn't he take National Guard that was already mobilized and say, hey, go do something? Why wouldn't he do this as opposed to just saying, hey guys, let's go up there and let's beat up police. Let's go up there and let's do this.
The National Guard wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't do it. Generals wouldn't do it.
I thought you were sleepy back there, Anderson. I didn't know you were awake.
Yeah.
I'm awake. I'm just listening.
So here's the thing, though. Like, I honestly, I really believe that our former president did something wrong, and I think we're trying to find out what's the appropriate consequence.
So let me ask you this, and I'll put this question out to anybody on the panel.
Okay.
Can you help me to understand what law did he break that he deserves to be punished for?
I think
As a
okay, go ahead,
go ahead,
Mike.
Chris.
No,
No, Chris.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, as
In
a
your
public
opinion,
official,
what law did he break that we need to go after him for?
as a public official, he encouraged a raucous mob. Okay, not even the group that was listening to him. I agree with you totally. About the fact that there was two different groups. Okay, two different groups. Okay, the group that listened to him and the group that was at the mob, the Capitol already, ready to kick ass or whatever they were ready to do. Okay, and at some point, like I said, he made a very derogatory mark about his own vice president. And they turned on that vice president. They turned on him. They said that. They said it out loud. They chanted. They wanted to get Pence.
Is that
Is that
illegal?
deniable?
Is that
Is that
illegal?
illegal?
Yeah.
He encouraged it.
No
That's
morals.
the point. That's the point of this, Sun Tzu.
If
If he-
people are chanting something against a leader, that's not illegal. That's why we're in America.
When you're
Maybe illegal in
encouraging it
some-
and you're encouraging them to kill
Oh,
somebody, it is.
Whoa! Now you're saying kill. See,
They said
you're
hang
using
Mike Pence.
Hang.
inflammatory words.
Hang.
you
And
know,
there was a gallows. They built a gallows, a mock gallows in the front of the Capitol, Sun Tzu. I think that's factual.
Hey
It is.
guys,
Yeah.
guys, what I asked again because I don't think I got an answer. But
Yeah, there's no answer.
what did he do that was illegal? You're saying that he encouraged.
Sedition.
Okay, so how?
So-
Because all you
Okay.
guys have said is that he's encouraged a mob. Then you said, he encouraged people to kill,
Mhm.
which
Well,
can you prove? Can you?
I'll
prove
give you
that in
no.
court?
I'll give you an answer. I'll give you a quick answer, John.
Hey, crowd, let's go hang Mike Pence because I don't think that
No,
happened.
I'll give you a
trying to
quick answer.
understand where you're coming from, but I honestly, I just don't.
Jesus.
No, I'll give you. I'll give you a quick answer.
Fucking universe.
No, I'll give you a quick answer. So
My
this has been planned. Trump knows that he has a violent portion of his followers. Same as Black Lives Matters has a violent portion of their followers. Same as Antifa has a much bigger violent portion. They all know that. Anyone who says every Black Lives Matters person is a rioter is crazy. We all know this. So Trump knows he has a portion of his followers that are violent. He put out the word for at least a month, come on the 6th. It's going to be a party. It's going to be wild. He kept saying he didn't say that.
I said, okay.
Okay.
You're
So then
making it
he
sound-
sits there and he's been saying for a year the election was stolen. It's not fair. Now, did he once at his rally say go in peace? Yes. How many times did he use the word fight? How many used the word, did he use?
Oh my gosh. And how did he use it?
Okay,
Go
you can just
fight
keep going.
for-
Go ahead, Sun Tzu. No one needs to talk but you.
Yeah.
You,
John,
you're
John,
just
hold-
like,
hold-
oh,
hold-
Easy,
no.
easy.
John. So, okay. I'm going to try to answer your question this way. Full disclosure. I'm going to pretty much say the same thing Sean and Mike are saying. Okay. But I'm going to say it the way I comprehend it. Okay. What I'm comprehending is this. Okay. I was very mad when strangers attacked friends of the show and one of our panelists because they put out their personal information out there. I saw this trend, I guess, towards the end of last year, where people on TikTok would show this person's video of something that they said that was, that was like, you know what, I love Trump, and if someone that's like this, believes that, then they're this and they're that. And they would do like a okay sign, which meant white power or something. I don't know what it meant. I don't even know if they were doing it for that reason. They could have just been saying okay for all I know. Okay. But a person would capture that video, go on TikTok and say, this person so-and-so, and they work at so-and-so. And I would hate if someone were to go over there and do this and that. Now, if someone was to watch their video of them doxing that person and go out and do something bad, do you think the person who showed that person's information is responsible for the wrongdoing that another person does? Do you feel that that person's responsible for that? Do you understand the question?
Yeah. Are you asking me, or I don't know if?
No,
there's
I'm actually asking you. I'm directly asking you.
No, I think the person who went out and committed the crime is responsible. If you want to charge the person who showed the video
Mhm.
with a violation of privacy issue, then yeah. But the person, if somebody took that information and then went out and punched the guy in the face, then the guy that punched the person in the face is the one that should be charged with assault. You
Okay.
can't charge the other person with assault. You can charge the other person with violation of privacy or things like that. But
Yeah.
You actually can. That there was a girl that was charged for talking her boyfriend into committing suicide. So she was charged.
Hold on, Sean. I really want to. So, John, I respect that you feel that way. But if someone did that to you, okay, and I hope they got the person that attacked you. And let me tell you, I would be pissed off at the person that showed your information. I believe they deserve to be arrested and have the same counts as the person that actually laid physical hands on you, because they're responsible for that. And that's the reason why I felt our president did something wrong. You know what I mean? That's the reason what I feel, he's responsible for. Now, if you feel that that's, I don't know if you feel like that's illegal or not, or if that's a waste of time, then, you and I disagree on that, because he is and that's something that Mike was screaming. He's the president of the United States. There has to be some accountability. Lives were lost, and lives were lost in other
Can I
events.
ask one question for clarification?
Yes, clarification.
So, and I know that Mike and Sean, I believe, have made the same point that you just made.
I said that.
But I want to confirm that I actually understand the point. So it's because he's the president of the United States that he should be held accountable because of the position that he holds.
That's part of it. Yes.
The influence he put forward.
And that removes him from any claim of free speech, because he cannot claim free speech as the president of the United States. He has a moral and ethical responsibility for everything he says. Everything.
He can claim the debate clause and say all kinds of things.
The debate clause.
Yeah, it's the same thing it's the same reason you can't prosecute a congressman for saying that, like the whole thing about I'm trying to remember his name, where the senator said the other senator had murdered or had been the direct cause of murder for somebody else, but he couldn't be prosecuted for slander because of the debate clause. It's a thing that, excuse me, I apologize.
No, I understand. You're sick. Thank you.
The debate clause is, and I don't agree with the debate clause. It's unfortunately something that's on the books that's kind of stupid, to be honest with you. But the debate clause allows them to say all kinds of crazy stuff, and that's why people can call each other Nazis in there and call each other, the most horrible names in the world, and never get charged with slander or
okay.
Or anything.
Yeah, I get what you're going. I get where you're going there.
What I'm getting from all this is that Trump is innocent as Hitler is innocent, because he didn't kill any Jews.
Actually, he did. He shot quite a few in the face during his visits to the concentration camps.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that. So there you go.
Yeah. Is
Same
that
point, though. Same point. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff with him that's just.
Well, John, just so you know, in the beginning, totally against the impeachment, the second impeachment. Bottom line, what's the point of going through all this process when it's going to take 17 senators to turn, and you're not going to get 17 senators to turn? So why are you going through all this shit? Really? And
I would agree with that too.
Yeah. And I, that's really, it's like, what's the point? But then I got to say, when Chris bugged me about starting to pay attention, and I started to pay attention, and I started to realize that, the part that bothers me the most about this whole thing is that there's this period of time, between, when the election ends and, the president, anybody has to be held responsible for what they do in that time. And if President Trump, says bad things about Pence and the mob picks it up, that's a tough one to ignore. So is there any accountability that a president can have during that particular period of time? And it's sad in our society that we have to worry about, every particular moment of a politician's life that, especially the president, because he has so much power, and they keep saying, the most powerful person in the world, if he does something wrong within that period of time, whatever, questionable, whatever, let's give it 50-50. He needs to be held accountable for that particular, that sin. And that's one of the big premises why we're even doing this, is to simply say, I'm sorry, but I can't accept the fact that the president has the ability to do whatever he wants to do at a particular time and be able to get away with it. Nobody
let me
should
ask you,
escape
Mike.
consequence.
Let me ask you a question. So he's not the president anymore. Why doesn't somebody just file criminal charges against him, since he's not protected by the presidency anymore,
They already are.
and have him
I think-
arrested and then go through that process as opposed to the impeachment?
I think well,
I
I'm
don't want to
sure-
answer that, to be honest. Okay, well, there are criminal charges being filed against them, but not for this edition. But my thing is, if someone was to file criminal charges against this edition and insurrection, I think there will be a lot of his followers that would go out in the streets and do some damage. The same reason why Napoleon was put in exile. The same reason why a lot of political leaders in different countries don't, some get executed, some get put in exile for that type of reason, because there's a lot of people that really do believe in those leaders. And that's I know that's a problem that Renee had. And me and Renee really had an intense conversation on Sunday. And, Renee is a Republican. That's what he claims. And his whole argument about his dislike for President Trump was that it was all about President Trump and not about the party. They made it about the man. A lot of people disagree with it. You might even, you disagree with that, right, John? For a fact.
Yeah.
Okay, of course.
It's
okay,
not
that's
a
my
secret that I'm a Trump fan.
Yeah, but you believe it's about, your ideology, not about Trump. Like,
I believe it's about conservatism. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's my point. So we had a big argument about that. And the thing is, there are people, unfortunately, that, I think his son said it best. It's not the Republican Party, it's Trump's Republican Party. And I think he said it best when he said that, because I think a lot of people feel like it's Trump's Republican Party, because there are other Republicans. I mean, there's a reason why Lindsey Graham has flip-flopped like immensely from, okay, I'm done, I'm getting off, to where like, oh, this is ridiculous, and he's on Hannity, which is really weird because that dude makes my head spin. But the thing is that, a lot of people want President Trump's followers. He does flip-flop, John. He does. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing with you
Okay.
on Lindsey Graham,
Okay.
but Lindsey Graham has nothing to do with
My point is,
Exactly.
people want
activity
his
that you want to
followers.
charge Trump.
My
Exactly.
problem is people want his followers. And I think that's the reason why we can't get to 17. There are Republicans that are voting to convict them, just not the 17 needed,
Right.
But
Well, right now, wait and see. McConnell still hasn't made up his mind. Who knows? I mean, I'm not holding my breath on it, but McConnell has already said he hasn't even made up his mind right now. And if
Does his
McConnell says
father-
do it,
This is the absolute this is the thing that happens after every single conservative Republican leader leaves office. There is
it did not
always,
happen during Reagan.
there's always, yes, absolutely it did.
Mike, did this happen
Absolutely did,
during
because
Reagan?
what
Mike,
happened?
our eldest here, did this happen during
What happened when the elder Bush got into power? He got rid of a ton of Reagan's appointees because he didn't want. Bush was an establishment guy. Reagan was a conservative guy. That the exact same argument and fight happened right then. The exact same argument and fight happened with Gerald Ford. The exact same argument happens almost every single time.
every single switch of administration.
establishment consistently fight each other.
Yeah, but it's every switch of administration that happens. Trump got rid of everyone from Obama and tried to erase everything he did. I mean, that's both parties, John.
Okay, Nicole,
But
You're not
Bush and
following
Reagan
me
are the
because
same
it's
party.
been super busy.
I'm not talking about when you switch parties and you go from one to the other. I'm talking about
I
the
know what
same
you mean,
party.
John, but will you get a chance, if you could send me that info, like outside the show, I would totally look it over. Please, I need it, because
Can I ask a question? Does it bother anyone that our tax dollars are paying for all of this nonsense, regardless if we agree with it or not? If we have a good idea what the end result is going to be, but the Senate chooses to do this anyways, or the House, like, for me, that's another thing that's a big issue. It's like they're spending money that's not theirs. So how easy for them to say, oh, well, we're gonna, I think it was 500 million just to have the National Guard there protecting DC. We still don't know why they feel like they have to have, the National Guard active there, but they do. So $500 million of our taxpayer dollars are funding that, not to mention them going through this impeachment, not not to mention the first impeachment they went through that was a total coup. Like at
Ooh.
some point, we need to, as Americans, say enough is enough. Like, you people do not have the right. This is our money. You are a representative of us. So you should do what we want you to do and represent us, not do what you want without our consent and approval.
So to answer your first question, I am not bothered that they're using my tax dollars to do the second impeachment because I think it's about principle. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. That's just me. I understand and I respect that. Nicole, I know you've been really busy and you haven't followed it at all. After hearing us have this conversation, do you feel any different about that? Do you feel like this is the appropriate thing or not?
I mean, I think it's the appropriate thing. I think that people need to be held accountable. I mean, people will say he didn't kill anyone, he didn't encourage anyone to kill anyone, but Charles Manson didn't kill anyone either, and he had to be held accountable.
Oh my gosh,
People died because of things that he said. You know, I think that, you know, people need to be held accountable. Trump needs to be held accountable. And I mean, I'm fine with our tax dollars going to this also because it is about principle, and our tax dollars are spent on tons of things that I don't agree with. So it's fine with me.
Anderson, are you still awake over there? What's your feeling?
What? Huh? What?
Anderson, wake up. We're still here. Wake up to my voice. It's the voice you want to hear when you first wake up, isn't it?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Look
Right.
into my
So
eye.
what's your
Anderson.
feeling?
My feeling is,
What's your tax
I
dollars?
don't, you know what? I can give two shits, to be honest with you.
Why?
I'm so done with this political bullshit. I'm just
Yeah.
over. I'm glad we have a boring president that I don't have to see in the news every goddamn time. That's what I'm
I love it. I love it.
So-
Voice
Anderson,
of the,
do you
voice of the
mind-
people.
Do you mind looking at your paycheck and seeing 40% of your income being taxed and seeing how frivolously it's being spent by our
to your
government?
point. Well, to your point on the National Guard, we don't want another shit show like the January 6th. So that's the reason
Right.
why we have the
Yeah.
National Guard there.
Yeah.
What makes you guys think that's going to happen again? I mean, like,
We didn't know it was going to happen on January 6th.
Oh, come on.
oh, but you guys did though, right? Because you guys have all the proof of all the insightful like behavior and comments. So right now
Yeah.
he's not out there. He's silent. So
5
you
people
guys
are dead. I
actually,
mean, come on.
no, but you guys are
Why
proving
wasn't the
point.
guard used when the rioters went back?
Right.
They didn't
Wasn't
think everyone
authorized.
needed him.
Wasn't
He did,
authorized, John.
actually. Yes, he did, and they pushed back. You need to check your facts, Sean.
You need to check your facts from the Department of Defense.
Wait, guys, I'm talking about last week.
Look at the Department of Defense and tell me that they said no. Trump said they were authorized. God, I don't know where you get your facts from, Fox News or your friend.
What are you
So,
talking about?
as I lose control,
Talking about
As we
riots last
proceed.
as we close the show,
on,
ladies and
John,
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, there's been a lot of question on what we're doing here. There's been a lot of people on the left that say I need to get rid of my conservative people. There's a lot of conservatives that say I'm not listening because it's just crap on the conservatives. But the truth is, my biggest thing is to have a conversation. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest point. We have not allowed this show to grow more because I have stunted its growth, not knowing what my panel will do next. Guys, we are passionate. My biggest frustration is I felt like we were Congress. I felt like we couldn't agree on anything. And I do want to try a gimmick. I don't know if it works. I want to try a gimmick. Probably in the future, I'll try to throw in at the end of every show, we'll have a vote and seeing where we vote and seeing if we could bring John and Sun Tzu across the other side, or bring
That's
Nicole,
funny.
Nicole or Anderson onto the other side. Not forever, but just on one topic. And if we can't, then how can we criticize the swamp when we do and are the swamp ourselves?
We are. Yeah.
I want Anderson and Nicole to come live with me for a month, and we'll be good.
There we go.
Are you
Good one, John.
suggesting? Are you suggesting? Because this actually might be a good idea if this is what you're suggesting. I don't know if I understood you. That John and I flip and represent the left or the liberal side,
Well,
and
that's not
all
exactly
you
what I
guys,
mean, but we
that
can
would
apply
be
that.
fun. I would love
As
to
long,
see.
okay, this is my
Okay.
fear because I've totally thought about this. This is my fear. My fear is, okay, Sensu, tell us how a Democrat is. You're going to do this.
But it's true. Even
That's not the
Renee
point.
said it. Renee
You know what I
said
mean?
that they're crybabies, and that came from
Okay,
him. And
so
he
if
was
you could come and flip like for a segment and be serious about it, hell yeah, we'll give it a shot. Because I know for a fact Sean and Mike aren't going to be like, Jesus, God, because they're not going to do that. They're actually going to come in and try to give real points of views on the other side. If you can come in and give real points of views on the other side, they're not.
We-
They're not. Those two will not.
We the people,
Uh-oh.
we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. Those are the opening words of the Constitution of the United States. Okay? We the people. Why can't we be the people? Why can't we decide what would be best for our country? Okay? So
Mike, I think Mike and Sean are the people, and John and Sun Tzu are the wrong people. Booyah!
Oh.
Booyah!
I just
Okay.
think that. I
all
Okay,
the
agree with that.
liberal listeners are loving
Don't
this
agree with
right
that.
now. That's what they want to
Here's-
hear.
Sun Tzu and John.
we the people.
Nuts.
I belong in the
Okay.
cult of Trump.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay, so
We're losing
we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, why don't we try to form a more perfect union? Why not, John? So I see, I
How's
think we
that?
have a good blend. I think we have a really good blend. We have a strong, very strong conservative voice, and we have moderate voices, and we have liberal voices. Why don't we come together? You know, we criticize our government, we criticize everything they do. They don't do anything right. They're fucking moronic. They can't do anything. Okay, fine. Let's take up the challenge. Can we do better? Can we come up with a better scenario for what our government should be like? Seriously, come
We
on.
could until we started getting paid for it, Mike. Then we'd be corrupt. They're all
Stop.
corrupt.
Then let's do it. Let's do it. Why don't we come up with a concept? You know, because we're all full of criticism. We're the best finger pointers in the world, you know, in terms of our position is right and their position is wrong. Okay, all right, that's fine. Let's see what we can do. Let's bring Renee on board. I think he needs to be on board. You know, why don't you come back next week with your 3 main concepts of what if you were the president, this is what you would be pushing. This is what you would be doing. Why don't we come up with that? Each of us come back with 3 main concepts of what we would present as the main premise for leading America, and see where we are. I don't think we're going to be that far off, to tell you
Well,
the truth.
listen, the problem is Nicole's not going to be here next week. Neither is Anderson. So,
Okay,
let's
let's get Renee on board.
Yeah. let's give
And
2 weeks.
and
Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Sure.
Not that it's not reasonable. It just doesn't seem.
Realistic.
I don't. That yeah, like it's just like I
Well, listen,
prefer.
What do you
discuss-
prefer?
Well, I mean, I like what Mike's trying to like do with the conversation. I do like that. I think but it's like coming up with a way of how we would run the country. It's like the president doesn't have the power. It's really in the Senate and the House. It's like, so that's really where the problem is. It's what we need to do there. And we've talked about term limits and all those things. And I think that's a great start, is to start off with term limits, because we've all,
then that's one of your 3. That's one of your 3. Let's hear the other 2. Okay? Quit
Like
the
this man.
negative. Quit
He
the
just went
negative.
teacher
Quit
mode
the
on
fucking
you.
negative.
He just
Everybody's
he's like,
everybody
Mike just went teacher.
Yes,
We
thank you.
have homework
You're
now,
right, Anderson.
Hold on, John.
Everybody
You
is negative.
Are you
Well, it
interested in
can't work. No, it
Mike,
won't work.
let
No.
John talk. Are you interested in this? Can you do this?
I just wanted to be known as the moderate one.
No, you're not.
Well, you're gonna have to change your
You are
ways.
You're the extreme far right, John.
Yeah, you have to change your ways, John.
Well, first of all, you can't say you're part of the cult of Trump and want to be moderate, but
Not even I would say that.
okay. But I think that's interesting. I think we should really give it a shot.
Yeah,
And let's debate that. Yeah, let's debate that. Let's say, well, this is my problem with your 3 concepts. Let's do that. I think this was a good show.
Chris,
Yes.
I know you want to end it, but
Oh,
when you guys discussed about the schools and stuff like that, I feel like I had a lot of input to give, and I don't know because I was in and out, and I apologize for that. But I did catch Mike talk about like how uneven and unbalanced like the educational system would be because
He said white flight.
What's that?
He said white flight. That's what he said.
No,
Flight.
but I jumped back on when he's talking about universities and how like the one with all the money is the one that everyone's going to want to go to, and then it would just cause an imbalance or whatever.
In college athletes, right?
Yeah. So he also made a comment. You made a comment, Mike, about not making, like, I can't remember what your exact words are, but my thing was this is from what I researched is to be able to have school choice will actually improve academics in schools that are failing, because then they have to, increase their level, of academics to be competitive with the schools that people are going to. Because right now, public schools, they're complacent, right? There's no one holding them accountable. There's no like benchmarks where you can say, okay, this teacher, this class, let's say Mike's class. Okay, Mike, how many kids left, being able to read, or how many kids left, at this level of math or whatever. And if you're failing in certain things and you're not hitting, there should be an accountability. Right now there isn't, and which is why our country, we're sending people off to college that are illiterate. And I think Anderson, mentioned that in another show. In fact, Los Angeles school district is the biggest school district in the country, and it's the one that's failing the most. And it's sad, and it's just like, well, so what's going on? So clearly there's a problem. But anyways, I'm totally pro school choice. I think that it would improve public schools because it would force them to improve their level of education to where they are competitive with other schools, whether they be private charter schools or just other public schools that are doing better. And I think that would benefit everyone. But that was my perspective, and what I was listening to someone who was over the educational system a while back, and she's actually a Democrat.
That's terrific input. And ladies and gentlemen, please email me if you guys want to hear a special outside show of Mike and Sensu talking about school choice. We can make that happen. I think that's a terrific choice. Terrific input that you gave. I would love to hear that more. Let's hear what the audience feels. But as for now, we need to wrap up. Thank you very much, everyone. I just want to know we're here to open conversation. We're going to get this right. And we're going to be awesome. Okay. And John.
Next week, 3 ideas, right? Everybody?
No, because people are missing. We have Anderson gone and Nicole's gone.
Anderson don't care.
Anderson will do 3 jokes.
Anderson, I got you, boo. I will represent your 3 for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Oh no.
Yeah, that means Nicole. Nicole, that means I get yours, right?
No.
Yeah, I'll take Renee's.
Okay.
We'll get Renee involved. Everybody, 3 ideas. Come on, man. 3. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Off air, I will give you Renee's contact information.
Okay.
You get them involved.
Yep.
Let us think about our 3 ideas, and let's not ignore the teacher move you did on Sensu. It was like watching a wrestler. Okay.
What was the teacher move?
I mean,
What was that?
did you miss you missed that he did a straight up like.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're like, I don't know. What am I going to say? Am I going to say this? Like, yeah, that's good. That's great. Okay, 2 more, Sensu. Okay, you just bring us 2 more. You missed that? Everyone was laughing when he did that to you. Oh, he bamboozled
Totally.
you. Yeah, I
Went over my head.
right.
Anyways, I think our listeners too should email you and tell you who should be on the show and who should be off. Let's let our listeners determine this. John, that means we're out,
Whoa.
but it's okay. I'd love to
Whoa.
see this.
That means I'm going to get banned like right off the
We're
bat.
gonna
Wow.
axe us.
No,
Oh, listen,
no.
listen.
Listeners, vote for me to stay. You want
I
me.
would
You
vote
wanna
for you to
listen
stay.
me.
I vote for Sun Tzu to stay. I vote
I
for
got
John
one
to
vote.
stay.
One
That's-
vote. Anderson has
okay.
0.
Ladies and gentlemen,
John,
10 minutes over as we get ready to close this show. John, bring it home.
The one with the worst voice coming down. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm sorry that my voice is so bad, but thank you for listening anyway. Hope you guys have a great week, and I'm the best. See you later.
Everyone, please go
we'll call it your
to
sexy radio voice is what we'll call it. John.
You got a face for radio.
please don't forget to follow us on Instagram at we_could_be_wrong. And Instagram, please look for us at YouTubes and follow us on the YouTubers. And please follow us on Facebook at We Could Be Wrong on Facebook.
And
Thank
vote for
you.
Sun Tzu.
Follow
Vote for Sun
Anderson.
Tzu. Come on, emails, bring them in.
Oh, don't forget, we have Both Sides Now trailer comes out this Monday. Both Sides Now trailer for the fitness show. I've been working out to the point where my shins hurt. I walked 6 miles and exercised. My shins hurt. So Both Sides
His
Now.
feet got blisters.
Yeah, I literally spent so much money on exercise equipment. We're going to be rocking it. Don't forget Amateur Pros, the sports show. And I should have been gone already off air. Bye, everybody. Good